So are ready? Yes, we are ready and we are set to go. Okay, now. So the summary completion, we have summary completion here. Excuse me. Let me just mute my phone down. We have summary completion and we have yes or no game questions, finally followed by multiple choice questions. They appear to be easy. I mean, once you see the passage is all about argumentative. It's just a story. It's a made up story. It's not necessarily a story, but a written text by a particular writer. But what an examiner did was he just slightly modified the text and made questions accordingly. So the summary completion text, they come sometimes they come in order, sometimes they don't. Here you need several things to understand. Here you need to understand that there is a you need to know the grammar, and you need to know collocation, because one word has to one word collocation. Okay, I guess I wrote that correctly. The last one, I think you need logic, because they need to be, the words that you're going to choose has to be suitable for the to the gaps that are left blank. So now let's see. Charles second father was executed by the parliamentarian forces in 1649. Charles II then formed a something with the Scots. Okay, let's get into it one after the other, just for the sake of the video. So Charles Spencer's latest book, To Catch a King, tells us the story of the hunt of King Charles II in 6 weeks. After his resounding defeat at the Battle of Worcester in September 1651, and what a story it is. After his father was executed by the parliamentarians in 1649, the young Charles II sacrificed one of the very principles his father had died for and did a deal with the Scots. So, did a deal with the Scots. Should it be strategic alliance? Strategic alliance. Strategy, I think you know the meaning of that. I'm just gonna put H and write strategic alliance. There we go. Strategic alliance. Excuse me 1 second. All right, excuse me for the inconvenience that we have made. Again, so then, in order to become a king of Scots, he abandoned important something that was held by his father and had contributed to his father's death. Okay, what a sad story, honestly. Thereby accepting pres what is that, Presbyterianism as a national religion in return for being crowned king of Scots. So in order to become king, he abandoned an important something that was held by his father. What is it? Religious conviction? Of course, because something blah 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 is a national religion. Most probably the answer is going to be religious conviction. So I'm just going to say J for religious conviction. Okay, there we go. I'm just gonna remove the words that I've already chosen, because of course it's going to distract me. All right, now I keep on getting calls. All right, and then the opposing sides then met outside Worcester in 1651. The battle led to a something for the parliamentarians, and Charlie had to flee for his life. All right. His arrival in Edinburgh prompted the English parliamentary army to invade Scotland in a preemptive strike. This was followed by a Scottish invasion of England. The two sides finally faced one another of Worcester and west of England in 1651, after being comprehensively defeated on the meadows outside the city by the parliamentarian army. Right, so they were comprehensively defeated. So the battle led to a decisive victory. So that means if the parliamentarian, they were defeated by the parliamentarian army, that there's a high probability that the battle led to a something for the parliamentarian. If it's for, then obviously this is going to be a decisive victory. So I'm going to choose F for that. F. Okay, F is decisive victory. Right. Then, a something was offered for Charles' capture, and the 21-year-old king found himself a subject of a national manhunt with a huge sum offered for his capture. There you go, a huge sum, as I told. Huge sum is equals a larger reward. I'm gonna keep that away. B, large reward. Okay. Oh my god, excuse me one more time. All right, didn't mean to do that. All right, excuse me once again. Okay, we didn't mean to do that. So, but after 6 weeks spent in hiding, he eventually managed to reach the something of continental Europe. So through a series of heart-poundingly close escapes to evade the parliamentarians before seeking refuge in France. Seeking refuge is like a safety in France. He was seeking for a safety place in France. So that's probably, that's got to be probably D, related. What is that? Relative safety. So reach the relative safety. What is that? D, relative safety. Okay. Now we're gonna take that. Now let me just give numbers before I proceed with yes or no giving questions. So the first answer comes over here. Let me just, it's very hard for me. From the next video, I'm just going to be using Word, Microsoft Word, just for the sake of the video, so I can just give numbers there. So 27 over here, 28, 28 is over there, 28 just over there. Okay, let me just put it underneath that number. And 27, 28, we have 29, we need 29, so 29 is decisive victory. So decisive victory probably because defeated on the Meadows, so it's going to be 29. There we go. We're gonna choose defeated. Now large reward, huge sum again over there, huge sum. So it's number 30. Okay, we got that. With 31, relative safety, seeking refuge over there. So we have good synonyms. 31, there you go. Fantastic. Now, yes or no game questions, they follow the order. Multiple choice questions follow the order as well. So now, Charles chose Pepys. It's a weird name, honestly. Charles chose Pepys for the task because he considered him to be trustworthy. Trustworthy? Charles' personal recollection of the escape lacked sufficient detail. Charles indicated to Pepys that he had planned his escape before the battle. The inclusion of Charles' account is a positive aspect of the book. The inclusion of the Charles account means to write about himself as well is a positive side of the book as well, which means it's not a positive side, but an interesting part of the book. So years later, after his restoration as a king, the 50-year-old Charles II requested a meeting with the writer and diarist Samuel Pepys. His intention when asking Pepys to commit his story to a paper was to ensure that his most extraordinary episode was never forgotten. So that was the main purpose. So that was the purpose of Charles calling, meeting up with Samuel Pepys. Over 3 hours of sittings, the king related to him in great detail his personal recollections of the 6 weeks he had spent as a fugitive. Fugitive is a runner, I guess, as far as I'm not mistaken. So as a king, so he spent as a fugitive 6 weeks as a fugitive. That means what is that called? All right. There's no answer that he was. I think everyone understood. There's no answer that there's nothing about the text of whether or not he was trustworthy. So I'm just gonna say not given. All right, but however, lack sufficient details. No, there was not a sufficient lack of sufficient detail, but there was a great detail in his personal recollection. So this answer is going to be no. So the reason for that is over here. Let me just put the number. Great deal. So great deal means, so over here it's going to be 30, 30, 30, 33. There we go. 32 not given, so I'm just gonna there's no way I'm gonna put number there. So Charles indicated to Pepys, okay, as the king and the secretary settled down, a scene that is surely a gift for a future scriptwriter, Charles commenced his story. After the battle was so absolutely lost as to be beyond hope of recovery, I began to think of the best way of saving myself. Again, another answer for us, the answer is going to be, again, no. The answer is over here, 34. So the answer is going to be no as well. No, because he didn't plan his escape before the battle. He lost the battle and then he planned escaping to save himself. To save up himself means to plan his escape before the battle. So no, he did not plan before the battle. So anyways, the inclusion of Charles II is a positive aspect of the book. One of the joys of Spencer's books a result not least of its use of Charles II's own narrative, as well as of those his supporters. Okay, is one of the joys of Spencer's books, a result not least of its use of Charles II's own narrative, as well as those of his supporters, is just how close the reader gets to the action. So that means not only Charles II was talking about himself, but also he was talking about his supporters, which that's why the answer is going to be therefore yes. All right, so there we go. Positive aspect means positive aspect. Here keyword is one of the joys. Joy, positive. So what is the reviewer's main purpose in the first paragraph? So we know the first paragraph is basically mentioning how or why did Charles II leave. I mean, he made a deal with the Scots, and kind of he was crowned king of something. Or somewhere. Therefore, he got defeated and he started running away and he's seeking refuge in France. So describe what happened during the Battle of Worcester. No, there's nothing. We don't know anything about the battle, despite the fact that they lost. We don't know how many people even died there. So to give an account of the circumstances leading to Charles II's escape is the answer here. To give an account of the circumstances means to explain about the situation. To provide details of the parliamentarians' political views, there is nothing about the political views as well. So to compare Charles II's beliefs with those of his father. No, there's no beliefs as well. So to give an account of the circumstances leading to Charles II's escape. Charles II's escape was he found himself the subject of a national manhunt. Maybe if I will just put that as a as a paraphrase of an account of the circumstance. Another one is why does a reviewer include examples of the fugitive's behavior in the third paragraph? 1, 2, 3. Okay. The day-by-day retelling of the fugitive's doings provides delicious details. Interesting part that means. The cutting of the king's long hair with agricultural shears, the use of walnut leaves to dye his pale skin, and the day Charles spent lying on a branch of the great oak tree in Boscobel Wood as the parliamentary soldiers scoured the forest floor below. So that means he was having fun while they were just searching for his head for a future reward. Spencer draws out both the humor, such as the preposterous refusal of Charles' friend Henry Wilmot to adapt disguise on the grounds that it was beneath his dignity. So, and the emotional tension when the secret of the king's present was cautiously revealed to his supporters. So, king's present was cautiously revealed to his supporters. Okay. Mm, to explain how close Charles II came to losing his life, no. Um, to explain how close Charles II came to losing his life, no, there's nothing about that. He was, I mean, that was obvious. That the obvious answer is that because he lost the battle and there's it's all written heart-poundingly close escapes. Pretty, but might be the case, but it's asking for the third paragraph. But to suggest that Charles II supporters were badly prepared, we don't know anything about his supporters. We don't know anything about his supporters' preparation. To illustrate how the events of the 6 months are brought to life, most probably this one, because it says the day by day retelling of the fugitives, and here I can totally say, day by day retelling of the fugitives. Day by day of retelling of the fugitives. There we go. Now, what point does the reviewer make about Charles II in the fourth paragraph? Okay, let's see. Read the fourth paragraph. This is third. This is fourth. So Charles' adventure after losing the Battle of Worcester hide the uncomfortable truth that whilst almost everyone in England had been appalled by the execution of his father, they had not welcomed the arrival of his son with the Scots army, but had instead firmly bolted their doors. This was partly because he rode at the head of what looked like a foreign invasion force, and partly because after almost a decade of civil war, people were desperate to avoid it beginning again. This makes it all the more interesting that Charles II himself loved the story so much ever after, as well as retelling it to anyone who would listen, causing eye rolling among courtiers. He set in train a series of initiatives to memorialize it. Okay. There was to be a new order of the chivalry, the Knights of the Royal Oak. A series of enormous oil paintings depicting the episode were produced, including a 2-meter wide canvas of Boscobel wood and a set of mixed similarly enormous paintings of the king on the run. In 1660, Charles II commissioned the artist John Michael Wright to paint a flying squadron of cherubs. What is that? Cherubs carrying on an oak tree to the heavens. Blah blah blah. It's hard to imagine many other kings marking the lowest point of their lives so enthusiastically, or indeed pulling off such an escape in the first place. What does the reviewer make about Charles in the fourth paragraph? He chose to celebrate which was essentially what is that? Defeat. Okay, I think that he chose to celebrate. He misunderstood the motives of his opponents. No, he aimed to restore people's faith. Nothing but that. He was driven by a desire to be popular. The reason for this is to celebrate what was essentially a defeat. Is there we go. Marking the lowest point in their lives so enthusiastically. That means he retold about his sad life, or maybe unfortunate life, in a positive way. It means like you had such a bad life, and the tone while you are retelling it to people is going to be most of the times it's going to be sad. The way how your facial expression is going to be shaped and stuff like that. But however, he chose in another way, and instead of using that particular method, I mean just acting sadly, his approach was to talk about it in a much more positive manner. So that's why if I just put the paraphrasing list here, marking the lowest point so enthusiastically. I'm just gonna write it like that. All right. What does the reviewer say about Charles Spencer in the fifth paragraph? So this is fourth. Charles Spencer is the perfect person to pass the story to a new generation. All right. So, and his pacey, readable prose steers deftly clear of modern idioms and elegantly brings to life the details of great tale. He has even-handed sympathy for both the fugitive king and the fierce republican regime that hunted him, and he succeeds in his desire to explore far more of the background of the story than previous books on the subject have done. All right. Indeed, the opening third of the book is about how Charles II found himself at Worcester in the first place, which for some will be reason alone to read to catch a king. All right. His decision to write the book comes as a surprise. Here it means that he was also kind of he was also a target, maybe by the parliamentarians, but he was a perfect person to pass the story to a new generation. Perfect person means the story can stay alive instead of just being ripped off and being forgotten that thing ever existed. So his decision to write the book came as a surprise? No, he takes an unbiased approach to the subject matter. Probably this one. His descriptions of events would be better if they include more detail. No, that doesn't say anything about that. He chooses language that is suitable for a 20th century. No, all the three options are not available. An unbiased approach to subject matter means his spacey, readable prose steers deftly clear of modern idioms and elegantly brings to life the details of great tale. Deftly clear of what is that? Readable prose steers deftly clear of modern idioms. So that is the paraphrase. When the reviewer says the book doesn't quite hit the mark, she is making the point that the tantalizing question left in the end is that what was that? Is that of what it all meant? Would Charles II have been a different king had these 6 weeks never happened? All right. Number one question: the days and nights spent in hiding must have affected him in some way. So, did what is that? Did they need to assume disguises to survive on wit and charm alone? To use trickery and subterfuge to escape from tight corners to help form him? This is one area where the book doesn't quite hit the mark. Instead, its depiction of Charles II in his final years as an ineffective, pleasure-loving monarch doesn't do justice to the man. Neither is it accurate or the complexity of his character. But this one niggle aside, so to catch a king is an excellent read, and those who come to it knowing little of the famous tale will find they have a treat in store. Probably it means that he didn't talk about how these characters affected him, so it overlooks the impact of events on ordinary people. No, it lacks an analysis of prevalent views on monarchy. Nothing about that. Common views on monarchy. Nothing about that. It omits any references of the detail. Is it? It omits any reference of the deceit practiced by Charles II during his time in hiding. It fails to address whether Charles II's experience had a lasting influence on him. Okay, there we go. Lasting influence on him. These are the questions. So Charles II, while he was writing the book To Catch a King, he did not mention how the story that has occurred throughout his life, while he was seeking refuge in France, and as a fugitive, what made to be a person who he was at that time. So that's pretty obvious. Now, if I'm gonna put the numbers here, okay, I think it's not necessary to put the numbers. So I think pretty much you can just follow through the video, or maybe I'll just not be lazy and just start writing the answers. I mean, given the numbers. There we go. Take that. And take that again. So what is that? 39 is over here. There we go. Whoops. 39 finally. Okay, we have to explain third paragraph. We have 1, 2, 3. We have third paragraph over here. The day by day retelling something is going to be over there. 37. There we go. 37. 36. Where's 36? Oh, okay. 36 is so all over is on the top. And to give an account, to give an account means, I don't know. I'll just kind of say this is the whole paragraph, most probably, and give it a 36. There we go, guys. So there you go. We finished test number 1, Cambridge issue number 17. If you have any questions, make sure to comment down below. If you have any questions, yet again, do mention your ideas, your thoughts in the comment down below. Make sure to like it, share it with those who did not actually understand. I mean, they do not know how to solve reading questions of IELTS. So yeah, other than that, do like it. If you hate it, put the dislike button. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you on the next episode.